We have Advait versus Ayush. Ayush is the team captain, the board 2 for Jabalpur up against Advait, the board 3. Both players 1600. What happened? What do you mean what happened? You good there too? I'm looking. So we have 4 games going on. The team is 4 players each. So they play all the players from the other team for a total of 16 games. First team to get to 8.5 points wins. Here we have B9 check. This is the captain for the Carnegie Mellon team. Now, it is important to know that Carnegie Mellon submitted their roster late, so they're going to be docked a penalty point, which is very important. So they have to win the match 9-7 to win 8-7. If they win the match 8.5 to 7.5, it's actually a draw, 7.5, 7.5. And then they will go to overtime. Okay, so the bishop is hit and retreats. Don't take here. White still needs to get castled. This pawn is pinned to the king. Black putting pressure on both of these pawns, actually. The knight would love to come here, but this pawn's in the way, and the bishop would pin it anyways. So knight here only defends the e pawn. I think then black could maybe take twice here, actually. So B9 check. Looking good for Carnegie Mellon. Top board. So we do have knight d2. Black can take on d5 now. Actually, no. Maybe they gotta watch out for bishop here. Bishop b5. Yeah, bishop b5 actually forces knight here. Now pawn takes, wins material. Okay, so pawn here. We can take the knight with the pawn with tempo. So white's actually winning now. Nicholas Tice, you can still go. You can be a grad student. You can still apply. You're also, I would argue you're still a successful man. All right, so Samyak. Yeah, B9 check. Probably should have castled first and then tried to take. They were a little greedy, and then they blundered a piece. So they forgot about this bishop b5 move. So Samyak up a piece for 2 pawns. This would be a huge upset for Jabalpur. They're board 4 against Carnegie's top board. But the game is not over yet. Let's see how their bottom board's doing. Glad to be mad, whose name is Vlad. I don't know their last name, but I'm sure it's rad. Not like Vlad. I meant like rad, like it's a cool last name. Not to be confused with. I doubt their actual name is rad. I guess is what I'm saying. Anyhow, they're 1253, the bottom board. So it's going to be a tough matchup for them, especially if Samyak, the bottom board from Jabalpur, can take down Carnegie Mellon's top board. So, okay. This rook on d2 is hit by the knight. Alexenko. Okay, I was close. I mean, that is a pretty rad last name. With a name like Vlad Alexenko, you have to be good at chess, right? I don't make the rules. Okay, so knight and queen. Pressure on f2. This queen's defending. Queen steps up, perhaps to offer a trade. Yeah, if white can trade all the pieces down, it's a pretty even position. White or black has this weakness, this isolated pawn. So white is refraining from capturing the knight, helping out black's pawn structure. If anything, this is a weakness. It's also blockading the bishop that's behind it. So yeah, if anything, I like Vlad's position. All right, so pawn push in front of the king. Let's check in with b9 check. How are they doing? Looks like they've lost more material. Samyak just getting castled. Very safe. Let's check out the other captain, Ayush from Jabalpur. How are they doing? I like rook d1 from white, threatening e5 or d5 ideas with a fork. Actually, yeah. The knight gets out of here with tempo. So there's no more forking ideas. So the queen's gonna have to move. Queen decides to move to c3. Psycho, thank you for the follows. Thank you all for tuning in. The second knight comes in as well with tempo. This also defends the pawn. So the queen's gonna have to find a new home once again. We have Ansh versus Evan. Both players somewhat low on the clock. Ansh under 40 seconds. Looks like black has a solid grip in the center with this bishop here. This is a double pawn, but it's a really good bishop. Knight's coming back. Knight in. Huge control over the d3 square. Black king up to h2. Trying to free the rook. Less than 30 seconds. Rook's doubled on the b file. I think f3 at some point makes some amount of sense. Rook c1. Like, black's pieces are much better placed than white's pieces. But black's going to have to find a way to break through. Not that easy. So they bring the bishop back. The plan is to put the knight here. The problem is, well, maybe there's no, this is a really bad move for white, because now I guess you gotta play here. You gotta do something about the bishop. You have to save the bishop, not the exchange. And now black's breaking through. Okay. So yeah, knight c2 in time pressure was a huge mistake from white. So now Ansh is in a much worse position. Down exchange as well as a pawn. About to get hit with the queen-rook duo. Queen trying to come here. If the queen leaves the back rank, that's mate in 1, so you gotta be careful. Game's not over yet. Both players under 30 seconds. We have a result. Samyak taking down the top board. Huge point for Jabalpur. Not the start that Brian Czech wants. Also, just notice Brian Czech's last name is actually Czech. Speaking of rad last names, if your last name is rad, you know, or not rad, I'm in Czech, you have to play chess. There's no way around it. Hello, Viprahara. How goes it? Good to see you. Okay, the knight's pinned. That's a threat. Queen gets out of the pin. Steps up. Rook over. Pawn push. This kind of weakens this pawn, though. Bishop in. Knight. Freeing up the knight. The knight wants to come here, I suppose. Both players under 20 seconds. But yes, black should be completely winning this one. Is that a free pawn? Is there a queen check? This is very dangerous. Knight in. There's probably mate soon. Check, check, check. No, bishop here. Very peculiar. Queen check. Here. This pawn's defended. Knight wants to go here, I guess. Pawn push, threatening to promote. Queen back. No. No. Here. Here. There's queen here now. Okay. Fork, I guess. Not doing too much. Taking here. This is going to be GG very soon. Queen or mate. Alright. So Evan answers back. The board 2 from Carnegie with the point. Okay, in this game. Ooh, looks like black is going to be winning. Yeah, that's a good move. I like b4 from white. b4. Okay, going here instead. But now black's going to be able to play a5. And now you lose this pawn. And you lose the game. Dragon Bone Chair. Cheering on Carnegie. Ayush, the captain. The board 2 for Jabalpur getting a point. So now it's down to this last game. Glad to be Mad's going to be enduring a slow wait, is this a draw now? Hold up. Something horribly wrong happened. Pushing the pawn loses. The king needs to go to g5. King g5 wins for black, and g5 draws. So I was mistaken. And notice, so these pawns are on the a file, right? So by the time this king leaves, we can grab this pawn, and we will be in time to prevent this pawn from promoting. See, now the king is in the way of the pawn, right? So now either of these two moves draws for white. So this is a huge result. Neither top board from Carnegie or Jabalpur are able to get the full point, but Jabalpur's fourth board getting the full point. Here, Glad to be Mad can only get the draw if they play it right. Easiest was to go to c1. Alright, it's a stalemate. Okay. I was a little worried for a second, but that's a huge draw for Carnegie. So they're only down a point, 1.5 to 2.5. Titus cheering on the Indian team from Jabalpur. They want to face them in the finals, I suppose. Okay, Ansh has started the game, but is not there. Here we have Evan versus Samyak. So both of these players with a win in the first round. Evan looking to see if they can take down the fourth board from Jabalpur after they beat their leader, Brian Czech. Mr. Czech. So Samyak looking to see if they can take down both top two boards from Carnegie. So yeah, that was definitely a missed opportunity for Jabalpur. The score could be 3-1. They could be up 2 instead of 1 if they converted that king and pawn in game. Okay, so it looks like white ready to trade off bishops. Very common theme here whenever a side fianchettos. Rook to the c file. Simply a6, taking away the b5 square from all these pieces. Okay, so white, after moving the queenside rook, you can't castle queenside. And now g4 has been played. And I assume it will only be followed up by h4, h5. So white leaving the king in the center for now. We have a trade on d4. Distracting the bishop from this diagonal, but putting the bishop on the main diagonal. And now g5 threatens to get the bishops off the board. I like how Evan's playing this. This is a very fun position. despite not being able to castle. I mean, they could still technically castle king side, but probably they're not going to do that. I love h4, h5. Not going to lie. I think h4, h5 is just very, very fun for white. Looks fun. Position's probably relatively even, but I would prefer white. So black's just focusing on completing development, but here comes h4. RHBs, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Okay, so e5, closing the main diagonal, kicking the bishop back. The bishop likes to be here anyways. Black playing h5 now. So now you could play g5. You could also just go bishop here. Gambit the pawn, I guess. I guess a lot of things are attacking g4. Maybe you just take, but I don't know. Probably the knight takes, right? You want to keep the g file closed as long as possible. There's bishop g5, which is seemingly a decent move, pinning the knight. Hoping that, I guess, black will take, and then maybe you advance with h5 still. Queen takes d6. That is a move. So the knight's hit. I think... Okay, so knight comes in the center. This is a beautiful outpost square for the knight. Yeah, this keeps things closed. I think black made a practical choice, h5. I think that was a pretty solid move. And now we have the g5 pawn kind of closing everything down. But I can still try to pry things open, perhaps with the move f4 and maybe f5. But we'll see. So bishop h3. Maybe white castles. So who knows? Okay, so getting rid of the knight. The knight was intolerable. Taking towards the center. Opening up the c file. Ooh, that's a freebie. Take with the rook. Oh, do not take back. Oh, Bota's gambit. Samyak. Big mistake. That's resignable. So that's gonna be another point for Evan. Yeah, I forgot about the bishop on h3. Yeah, simply trading down. Simply simplifying. All right, let's see if b9 check after dropping their first game to the fourth board. Let's see if they can bounce back. So they've traded the queens off. Looks like Brian is up a pawn. Currently attacking a bishop. So bishop trade, bishop takes. We have opposite colored bishops here. The knight can go here now. Pressure on these two pawns. Rook can lift, defending them both. Or the knight can be kicked away. Yeah, Brian's looking good. 1,000 nerds. Yeah, I'm not sure how accurate or not accurate the ratings are. But these are the teams that the schools are going with. So yeah, we've seen some really underrated accounts before, but we've also seen like really strong players blunder, and then we've seen like really weak players play really well and then later blunder. So I don't know. The ratings for now are as accurate as they're gonna be. I guess that's my lame answer. All right, Evan beat Samyak, so they're 2 for 2, and that ties the score up at 2.5 each. We have 3 games left in this second round. Rook hits this pawn here. Pawn takes, rook takes, bishop here could be a thing, but just holding on to the h pawn. And now white's threatening to win this pawn. Black just attacking the knight. So where does the knight go? Knight goes back to b4. I think that was their only move there, really. And now we have f4. Keeping this little closed, but after capture, black has 93 check, which is going to be somewhat annoying. So we do take. Can only assume black takes back, and they do. So now, yeah, e3 is going to be a really nice square for the black knight. So this knight could go to c2 to prevent that, but you will drop the b2 pawn. Brackets with an S. There's 10 divisions. So we have 10 different tournament brackets. So this is division 6. Ooh, this is forcing queens off. This is completely winning for Nepal on the top board against board 3. So that's going to take the lead back for Jabalpur. There's a4. Yeah, king here, just holding on to everything as well. This is 3-on-3. No way to make progress here. You just have to make sure after you take back, not allowing for some pre-move magic. So yeah, these 2 pawns more than enough to win the game. Even this 1 pawn alone, more than enough to win the game. The king now can enter, gobble up all these pawns. Yep, so white doesn't even need to grab the pawns as well. They can just promote this guy now. He's free. So black's got to hope for some stalemate. So yeah, Advait just hoping for stalemate. Let's see, can they make it? Can they make a stalemate? Queen here, stalemate. Oh. Check and mate. GG. So Napon taking the lead back. 1.5 out of 2. Here we have Brian. How's Brian looking? So the knight did end up on e3. I thought for a second the rooks were doubled here. I thought that was going to be crushing, but there's a pawn in the way. If only black could remove their pawn from the board. Okay, so Sepper, thank you for the follow, my good friend. Good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing well. Sepper, we don't have any schools from Iran. Not yet, at least. We have 2 schools from Africa. Is white gonna take this pawn or no? What's the dealio? What is the dealio? I guess there's bishop here, right? And then if you take this, you're getting forked. So if you take and they go here, can we go here? I guess you don't want to deal with that. So here instead, but now you take on f4. This is really good for white, no? Oh, but you give up the exchange for it. Okay, my bad. Very low on time is Brian. Brian's on the struggle bus. Let's check out Ayush and glad to be mad. Vlad. The queen's coming in. A potential sacrifice on g6 from the knight, looking pretty juicy. I would like to be white in this position. I don't know about you guys. This is a crazy move that the computer is calling for. After this, queen g5 check. Oh, is there something to do with this? I don't know. Dragon Bone Chair and Dzim. Thank you guys all for the follows. I really appreciate it. Definitely stick around. This isn't the most entertaining, I admit, because it's just me for the time being. However, in less than an hour, I will be joined by Grandmaster Ray Robson. So if you haven't been convinced yet, you will be. Ray's going to provide all the good looks, all the good moves, all the good commentary. He will be joining us shortly to follow the Division 2 and Division 1 matches, as well as we will be on Twitch front page. Ooh, let's check out Brian. He's down to 6 seconds. Brian's going to drop their first 2 games, which is not what you need from your leader. All the pawns are going to fall. There's knight check, but king up. So yeah, like you're down a rook for 2 pawns. It's tough, but you're gonna drop more pawns. It's even tougher. Rook takes wasn't played. Interesting. Pawn here also interesting. Pawn. I would push the pawn. Okay, this still hangs b2. Okay, this hits the rook. Here, there's check, check. There's this, hit that. That attacks this. Again, b2 is hanging. Okay, this is hanging. Knight defends. There goes b2. All right. Here, attacking this. You could take and then fork, but okay. I think anything black does wins, and Brian has no time. If the knight moves, that's mate. So pawn push. Nope. I guess rook here regardless. And now rook here forces the rooks off. Or you can go for the pawns. Yeah, flag. Okay, Ansh. Their first point. Board 3 taking down top board. So Brian, no points in the first half of the match. That is a recipe for disaster for the Carnegie team. Here, looks like Ayush, the captain, is going to be winning this fairly easily. So we had this, blunder that pawn. Winning the queen. Yeah, that's really rough. Really rough. All right, so that's mate in 2. GG. You can under promote to a rook for the flex. So yeah, Jabalpur, they're up 5.5 to 2.5 after 2 rounds. Carnegie's gonna need a really big comeback. So here we have Samyak versus Advait. Samyak, the 4th board, having just lost to Evan. Now up against the board 3. So it looks like we got opposite side castles. Always very fun and exciting to see these kind of games. Black trying to attack with the rooks and the pawns. White trying to get the queens off. Black leaving the queens on, saying I'm gonna keep attacking you. I'm gonna play a5 next if you let me. So yeah, now a5 is looking really strong for black. This is gonna be a problem. This is gonna be a big problem. b4 is hitting hard. Queen over, now b4. So now if you move the knight, say goodbye to c2 as well as e2. Yep, that's game right there. So Advait gonna answer back for Carnegie Mellon. Ignoring the threat, but it's only gonna get worse. But what else were they gonna do? Right? Take the knight. You give this knight up. It's not about the material at this point. Can you afford to take on f6 even? Can white take the knight back? If you push the pawn, doesn't even matter. So now rook takes. Where does the king go? c1, defending c2. And now bishop a2. Oh, man. Oh, bishop a2 is filthy. You can't stop rook b1. That pawn on c3, though. That's not the easiest thing to see, but you don't need to play bishop a2. You can play rook to b8. Rook c to b8. Here threatens mate. So that's also pretty good. There's king b1. I don't see how king b1 lasts that much longer. Queen sacrifice. Yeah, no, that's GG. Mate. 8-1. Alright, Advait of crushing win, their first point of the match. Here we have Evan versus NPN. What's up, QWERTY? Thanks for tuning in. Alright, so here we have Nippon, the top board, against the board 2. Neither player has lost. Nippon had 1 draw. Evan is flawless so far. Both players are 1800. This will be a good match. Relatively even. White might have a little bit of space in the center. Trying to get rid of this knight on c5. So we have a trade. Probably bishop takes. Another trade on e4. Probably pawn takes. Now both rooks are staring at each other. We could have any combination of trades, perhaps. But yeah, maybe black's knight is better because all the pawns for black are on dark squares and this bishop's on a light square. So it seems the knight wants to go to f4. Now we have a4. Again, putting a pawn on a light square, so I think black is going to be slightly favored in this endgame just because of the better piece. Andy from Duke, what's up? So Andy on the Duke D team is going to be playing against the loser of this match. So far, it's looking like it's going to be Carnegie, but the match is far from over. Carnegie is only down by 2 points. They got 1 here with Advait beating the 4th board. Brian's going to need to up the production. So, yeah, Brian's not looking too hot in this game either. Trying to get the queens off. Please, can we trade queens? Brian begs. Attacking the e6 pawn. So black retreats. This is smart. Whether or not you trade queens ultimately comes down to king's safety. This king is very safe. This king is very not safe, right? So the side with the safer king wants to leave the queens on. Why? Because the queen is an attacking piece, right? You leave the queen on the board, you're going to be gaining material. Now, I'm not saying black should take this because that's going to be a check. But you are flushing the king out of this, right? And now you're exposing the king on the c file. So lots of benefits to keep queens on when you are in a better position. Let's go Carnegie Mellon, says Chess Jawa, cheering for the fellow American school. Okay, pawn takes should just win a piece. Elon, PKR. Does PKR stand for something? Because I know someone else whose name is PKR who plays, oh, poker. Ah. Queen takes e6. Oh, and you take on, I mean, still it might be advantageous. The king goes to the corner, so they saw this as well. And now white takes on a5. Okay. We have e5. threatening the fork as well as attacking the pin piece and simply giving up a pawn. But after queen takes, rook takes, there's pawn push. I guess there's rook here, but this should still be winning material, especially like, you know, rook check as well was really strong. Going to a frat party tonight, Benny J, you know it. I'm going to the chess house in Las Vegas. No, what are some good letters for chess? There's I don't know. Okay, let's check out this game. Both players under a minute. I'm just excited for Ray to tune in. I just want to talk to my good buddy Ray Robson. Ray Shea Robson. Okay, Evan versus Nippon. Let's see. Oh, trying to pin the... Wait, is there queen d2? Wait, what is this? Queen d2, I guess king h3. Both sides very low, 30 seconds or less. So right now, I mean, okay. King h1, very safe, no more checks. So now the knight's hanging, and the knight's also pinned. So the knight has to go backwards to g6. Knight g6. No. Dropping the exchange. Queen or rook takes. Probably rook takes was stronger. This forces queens off. Rook takes. King up. I would have played maybe g6, but then there's rook check, and the rook's going after the a pawn, so you can't defend the a pawn. White's gonna crush. So Evan gonna be 3 for 3, keeping Carnegie Mellon's hopes and dreams alive. I like the d6 there. Knight back to d4. Yeah. Rook check, and now push a5. a5, a6, a7. There's no stopping that pawn. As hard as that knight might try. Yeah, and Evan catches the knight on pre-move. Gets the win against the top word of Jabalpur. So back within 1 point. Hold on. I missed the result. I think Ayush beat Brian. They give Ayush their point yet? I think they're 3 for 3 as well. Poor Brian. Not a single point. So now we got 1 game left in this round 3 game. We have mates on the board. So Ansh with a huge win. They're within 1 point of winning. So actually, if Jabalpur gets swept in this final round because of Carnegie's penalty point, the match will go to overtime. But I don't think Carnegie Mellon will sweep. I suspect Jabalpur will at least get a draw and win the match. So, yeah, Carnegie Mellon needs to sweep to tie it. How to join teams? I'm glad you asked. You should join our Discord, and you'll keep up to date there. You can also join our club page. We will post news of when registration opens for our spring season, which starts mid-February. So tomorrow's the last day of this season, and then we're going to be on a break. We will have preseason matches. If you join our club, we will have weekly arenas that you can join on Sundays, and that'll be part of the registration process. But basically, you're just going to have to keep up to date and wait for our announcement. Carnegie got a penalty point because they submitted their lineup late. We have deadlines for these things, and they missed it. Perhaps a bit of confusion for the playoffs, since our deadline changes because this match right now, the semifinals, they've had a week to prepare, so they had to submit their deadline on the usual time. But tomorrow, because the match, they don't know who they're playing yet, the deadline is only like 2 hours before the match starts. So it's very abbreviated compared to, your opponent a week in advance versus knowing your opponent literally the day before. We have a bit more leeway in those. What's up, White Noise? Good to see you. Penalty points are rough. Yeah, but to be fair, I don't think Carnegie Mellon's gonna sweep this last round. So the penalty points, they have affected some regular season matches. And honestly, I don't think it's actually made a huge impacting result overall. So like losing some matches here and there in the regular season, that affects your standings, but I don't think that it affected whether or not a team made playoffs or not. And I don't think so far in the playoffs it's actually had an impact on any of the results. The C team second round match? Ooh, I didn't know that. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think overall it's like very low impact, but that's another point of discussion that we could potentially have for next season or future seasons, that we need to figure out if the penalty point system is a good system, whether or not it actually works or helps. But essentially, we just want teams to be able to submit their players on time. Oh, of the normal tournament. Okay. Make the games no, we're definitely keeping them rated. Why do you want the games unrated? I wanted them unrated initially because I thought like players will care less. You lose 20 points every match. Yeah, so that's why like we need the players that beat you to gain those 20 points. Because then if their actual rating is more accurate, then you're not going to be losing 20 each because you're bad at chess. Well, get good, as they say. That's how to counteract that. Yeah, don't lose your games. Easy. Doing your best. That's all I can ask from you. And honestly, you're doing a great job. Okay, so we're looking at Nippon versus Brian. Brian has been on the struggle bus all day. They're 0 for 3 as the top board. Now they're playing their toughest opponent yet, Nippon. Oh, but they got made. Oh, oh, Brian. Oh, Brian. I was just saying. Yeah, I think that perfectly encapsulates how Brian's day has been. So Brian 0 for 4, and Nippon clinches the win for Jabalpur. They officially reached the 8.5 point mark. And they will be moving on to play Georgia Tech's B team for the $500 Division 6 first place prize. And Jabalpur, with that win, also clinches second place. So even if they lose tomorrow, they're still guaranteed $300. So Carnegie Mellon, they might have lost today in unfortunate fashion, but they have a chance to redeem themselves tomorrow against Duke's D team, led by Andy. And they will be fighting for the third place $200 prize. They won our heart. Did they win your heart, Super Saiyan? Good to see you. Daniel tuning in from the Princeton team. I have received word from Andrew that he wished the Princeton team had more players. And I told him he's got plenty of time to recruit. So our spring season starts mid-February. So Princeton, they got a lot of talent. I mean, obviously it's a good school. They got Andrew Tang. They were Division 1. They made playoffs. They, I believe, lost to Mizzou, which there's nothing to be ashamed of there. But hopefully next season, Daniel and Andrew Tang can get reinforcements, get some help from their fellow chess club members. They got bodied. Mizzou is too powerful, coming from a U Chicago player who beat them. Daniel Gurovich. Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, Chess Jawa didn't personally defeat them, but his team defeated them. Okay, so yeah, that's this match, and in 15 minutes we will start the Division 2 Duke versus Illinois match, and I will be joined by Grandmaster Ray Robson, the one and only, tied for 4th in the recent US Chess Championship. Also, one of the prize winners of the Bughouse Chess Played Quick match. Yeah, Jeff Dew from Duke. He's their board 2. Sebastian is their top board, double attack. So yeah, we got some members from Duke D still here from their match. They're tuning in now to root on their A team in Division 2. And they will be playing for some higher prizes. So I almost just spilled water all over the place. Sacred Heart won their match. Congrats. Going to Division 8 finals. That's exciting. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the next couple of hours. I mean, the chess already has been phenomenal. You guys have been great. It's fun to see all the people tuning in to see their teams play in the final few rounds of the playoffs. Especially knowing that they're earning themselves some prize money. They're guaranteeing the prizes. If you guys want to see the prizes breakdown of all the divisions, you can check it out there. So yeah, for instance, in Division 2, we have a lot of money on the line. So right now, every team in the semifinals for Division 2 has guaranteed themselves $500. They could lose today and tomorrow, and they're still getting $500 out of this. If they win today, they're guaranteeing themselves $1,250. So they're over doubling the amount of money that they're guaranteed to win. And if they win the entire division, if they get first place tomorrow, then they get $2,500. So that'd be 5 times as much as if they just lost both their matches. So a lot of money. And Division 1 is even more than that. Everything is doubled between Division 2 and Division 1. So a win in Division 1 brings a team from $1,000 guaranteed to $2,500 guaranteed. So we will be watching all 4 matches from Division 1 and Division 2, which I'm very excited for, as well as being on Twitch front page, as well as having great Grandmaster Ray Robson joining me in just about 10 minutes. Are you expecting more teams divisions in the future? Exactly, Eardell. We're expecting a lot more, actually. So we have the list of schools that competed in last year's World Cup, as well as the Kasparov Cup, which I think was also universities, as well as we're working with the 2020 Chess League, who has a bunch of schools from England. Right now, we have no teams from England. So yeah, this is our 3rd season. Last year and last season, we only had two countries represented. We had University of Toronto representing Canada and everyone else from the US. This year, we have Canada and the US. We added Mexico, and we also went overseas. We have, obviously, here today, we're watching a school from India. We have a couple of schools from India. We have a team from Bangladesh. And we got a lot of European schools. We have a school from Moscow in Russia. We had Lviv, who's in Division 3. They're the top seed. That's from Ukraine. We have Warsaw, which we'll see play Yale later today in Division 1. They're undefeated, and that's obviously Poland. We also have Russia. I said Russia, Ukraine, Poland. We have Germany. We had University of Constance. We had France. We have 2 teams from France. Who else am I missing? Germany, France. We have a couple teams from Africa. We have Benin. We have University of Cape Coast. Okay, so I don't think I've been giving the points. We had a couple more results. Ayush is 4 for 4. Glad to be mad got their first win against Samyak. So Samyak only beat Brian and then lost every game since then. But yeah, this is the final game here, and then we're gonna take a short little break. I'm gonna call the one and only Ray Robson that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, basically, oh, Ray Robson in the chat. Oh, hello Ray. Shout out to Grandmaster Ray Robson. Good to see that you're here, and I can't wait to add you into the call. I am the commissioner. Yes. We don't have Spain. We don't have Greece. We don't have Italy. Do we have all 50 states? No. We're missing Alaska. We had a team from Hawaii in our first season, but it's very difficult for them because 10 a.m. Pacific default time for West Coast is like, what is that, like 7 a.m. Pacific or 7 a.m. Hawaiian time? So that's tough on them. Brian can use a drink. I agree. Well, unless he's an underage college student. He's from one of the U.S. teams. If he was from like Germany or something, yeah, sure. you can use some water, some hydration. You can still use a drink. Okay. So yeah, after this game, hopefully it doesn't last too long. I could see this game going another, 60 moves. A lot of positioning here, some jostling. Okay, that's a free knight, so that's a blunder. Maybe Ansh will resign. Glad to be mad. Don't be sad. Don't be sad. Be glad. You played well. I think that you guys still have a chance tomorrow to get some money. You'll play Duke's D team. But yeah, that is the semifinals for Division 6. We have Jabalpur playing against Georgia Tech, and they will be facing off for $500. They've guaranteed themselves at least $300. And in round or the third place match, Carnegie Mellon's B team will play Duke's D team, and they are fighting for $200.